Our leader has been instrumental in BCD Group's diversification into the low-income housing, luxury residences, and corporate centers, as well as middle to affordable housing through strategic collaborative ventures. Under his shrewd leadership, the 70-year-old construction company has transformed into a versatile real estate conglomerate which has firmly established its global presence. Being the only zero-debt real estate company in India, he has spearheaded the establishment of the first ever SEBI-regulated real estate fund dedicated to financially stressed ventures. We're talking about none other than the MD BCD Group, Angad Singh Bedi. Thank you so much, Angad, for joining us today. Next up, his vision, commitment to customers, and passion to build landmarks and deliver the best laid a strong foundation for the company and continues to guide its success even today. Clearly a visionary with 47 solid years of experience in real estate, he's somebody who believes in designing practical and innovative buildings with flawless execution. It's a true honor to have the chairman of Wadhwa Group, Vijay Wadhwa himself. Let's give him a warm, warm round of applause. Sir, what an absolute honor. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, the biggest round of applause. Mr. Wadhwa, thank you so much, sir, for joining us today. An absolute honor having you. And with that, if I could now re-invite Sapna Srivastava, editor, Realty Plus, to join us. And Sapna, you've got these amazing leaders on stage, and it's going to be a task which Sapna has taken. Let's give her a warm, warm round of applause as she's curating this discussion forward. Sapna in conversation with Angad Bedi and Vijay Wadhwa. Over to you.
Well, my privilege to be sitting in between two very dynamic personalities of Indian real estate. One is the young Turk of Indian real estate. In him, we see the future. And on the other side is the Bhishma Pitama of Indian real estate. So, you know, lot of learnings we have to have from him today. But starting the conversation, let me start with the youngest who's here with us. You're the youngest among the three of us. You started your real estate journey working with KPMG earlier, PwC earlier. So for corporate coming to real estate, was it a culture shock?
I think more than a shock, there were two different worlds.
Right.
2 decades back when I had started in 2004 and 5, construction, real estate was a very largely unorganized sector in our country. And the bylaws, the rules, regulations, people really did not know. And when you compare the other two names, right, they were multinationals coming in from international standards of corporate governance and bylaws. So there were two very different spectrums of the world. Right. So I think started initially with construction and then jumping into a corporate environment gave a total different perspective of, you know, how India is to be built and how construction is to be done. And I think there was a lot of thought process which was involved.
10 years back? When
Almost 2 decades back.
2 decades back. Did you have to unlearn a lot of things?
I think it became my core. And those systems and processes are something which we've been able to emulate from them and try to bring it into this sector, which today, like we see IT, we see automotive, manufacturing. I'm seeing the next decade, real estate, construction, both have that sort of industry which will contribute to GDP, employment. The youngsters are going to be coming in and they should be as excited to be joining a Wipro or a Accenture than, you know, joining real estate companies where they don't see turbulent times and they see an organized way of their growth. And India is just starting in terms of what we call it as a structured development.
That's right. So one good thing was that you were able to incorporate the learnings of the corporate sector into the real estate. You brought in that. And one very good point Angad said is that a lot of youngsters now from MBAs, IIMs, IITs now are looking at real estate as a career. Mr. Wadhwa, you started almost 50 years now. What has been your leadership style over the years? You led the company over 50 years. You are mentoring the company now. What has been your leadership style? He brought the corporate learnings into 2 decades back. You started 5 decades back.
See, real estate is a very emotionally connected profession. You are dealing with invisible customers. You are conceiving a plan which you don't know who's the occupant. It is the developer's responsibility to think various categories of customers coming. And if a developer is hands-on, the project end results come out good. If he is just artificial, see today I was hearing very happy, prop tech, artificial intelligence, this is necessary. But conceiving of project starts at first step. Architects show you the elevation. Builder has to be, for success of the project, hands-on on the project, whether from planning, conceiving, or execution.
So your leadership style, you are saying, is to be hands-on, to know right from the grassroots what the the industry needs, what the customer needs.
अगर वो नहीं करेंगे ना आप, बिल्डिंग तो बन जाएगी, पर जो रियल हेल्दी हैप्पी बिल्डिंग बननी चाहिए वो नहीं बनेगी.
Correct.
बिल्डिंग 4 कॉलम, सरदार साहब सुनिए, 4 कॉलम छत बनाने से बिल्डिंग नहीं होती है. Human beings are going to live there. A person has to feel the air. You can't change the outside air. The house has to be very well ventilated. ये क्या है, आदमी आज आप इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बढ़ रहा है, उतना ही पोल्यूशन बढ़ रहा है, गाड़ियों का पोल्यूशन बढ़ रहा है. अब आपने जो आज मैंने पहले सुना प्रॉप वालों का, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस ज़रूरी है, बट अगर बिल्डिंग की डिज़ाइनिंग डिफेक्टिव है, अगर ग्लास की क्वालिटी अच्छी नहीं है, खाली एलिवेशन के लिए ग्लास है, सन की रेज फ्लैट के अंदर आती हैं, ऑफिस के अंदर आती हैं, जहाँ थर्मोस्टेट कट नहीं होता है, तो क्या एनर्जी आप आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस से सेव करोगे? Everything starts from conceiving stage. If it is conceived well, the end product, and then all these other things are adding to the betterment and running efficiently of the project. आप कितनी भी artificial आपको बताएगा कि आपकी ये area weak है, you can't do anything, you can't change anything unless the basic structure has been
Correct.
planned well,
Correct. Basic design is
Basic
right.
design has to be very well planned.
Correct. In fact, Wadhwa ji, you always talk about healthy living in projects.
Yes.
And today we are seeing in the name of budget friendly, के budget में आ जाए, ticket size छोटा हो जाए, flats are becoming smaller and smaller. They are becoming smarter, they are becoming smaller. How do we bring healthy living in such a scenario?
I'll tell you, ये बड़ा tough question होता है हमारे लिए. ब्रोकर बोलता है टिकट साइज छोटा करो, और मेरे आर्किटेक्ट्स के साथ और मेरे ब्रोकर्स के साथ, क्लाइंट्स के साथ ये ही झगड़ा होता है. मैं कॉम्प्रोमाइज़ नहीं करता, मैं कहता हूँ कि भाई चीज़ ऐसी बनाओ. अब मैं आपको रिसेंट एक एग्जांपल देता हूँ. लास्ट सैटरडे हमने मुलुंड में प्रोजेक्ट पूरा किया है. टिकट साइज़ के हिसाब से हमने फ्लैट का पोजीशन दे रहे हैं. वो आदमी बोलता है, एंड अनफॉर्चुनेटली दैट मैन वाज 6 फुटर, 6 फुट 2 इंच. सुनना, वो बोलता है मैं बेड कैसे बिठाऊँ? क्या अभी रूम साइज, टिकट साइज, सब चीज़, बिल्डर को टिकट साइज ऐसा कंसीव करना चाहिए कि एट द एंड वी हैव नॉट टू वेस्ट ऑन पैसेजेस, वी हैव नॉट टू वेस्ट ऑन वेस्टेजेस. एवरी इंच क्लाइंट को बेनिफिट मिलना चाहिए. तो वी चेंज द रूम प्लान फॉर हिम टू सी दैट ही गेट्स कम. मैंने बोला आप ऐसे करो, आप लंबे हो, आपकी उसकी वाइफ को बोला कि आपको साड़ी रैप करने के लिए जरा बाजू में रैप करना पड़ेगा, बिकॉज आपने जितना कपड़ा लिया है उतना ही मिलेगा, आपको कुर्ता नहीं बनेगा, आपकी कुर्ती बनेगी उसके अंदर. सो वी हैव टू बी वेरी केयरफुल एट द टाइम व्हेन वी प्लान द टिकट साइज ऑफ द फ्लैट. यू कांट बी ओवर एम्बिशियस इन जस्ट मार्केटिंग. और जो 5 मिनट पहले आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस की बात कर रहे थे, उसमें बेटे धोखा भी बहुत होता है. आप लोग प्रेजेंटेशन तो बहुत अच्छा कर देते हो, कस्टमर देख लेता है. आज एवरेज चीज़ को भी आप बहुत प्रेजेंटेशन से करते हो, पर जब एंड प्रोडक्ट अच्छा नहीं बनता है ना, कस्टमर को लगता है मेरे साथ धोखा हुआ है, विच इज़ अगेंस्ट द एथिक्स, विच वी शुड नॉट टॉलरेट. जो ऐसे करता है वो ज़्यादा लॉन्ग टर्म चलता नहीं है.
That is correct. That definitely needs an applause. Ticket size के नाम पे we cannot just give anything to the client. It has to be designed properly. It has to be designed as per a good living that it can give to the
डिसेंट
customer.
देखो
Decent.
देखो बेटा सपना गरीब होना गुनाह नहीं है
Correct.
बट उस गरीब को उसके परिवार के हिसाब से कम हेल्दी लिविंग तो दो किचन ऐसा दो कि जहाँ पे कम से कम पसीना नहीं आवे लेडी काम कर रही है अगर वो पसीने में दुखी काम कर रही है तो हाउ इज शी गोइंग टू लिव हैप्पीली बाथरूम्स में वेंटिलेशन अच्छा होना चाहिए अभी आजकल के कई आप में से कौन कौन है मैं नहीं जानता हूँ कोई ब्रोकर्स हैं कोई बिल्डर हैं ये जो जब से FSI 4 हुआ है ना इससे सुइसाइडल डेंजरस आदमी FSI को कंज्यूम करने के चक्कर में बाथरूम्स अंदर डालता है चौक के अंदर आई थिंक इसमें यहाँ पे रियल एस्टेट ब्रोकर्स कौन कौन है आप लोग
How many are brokers, channel partners here?
मैं जो आपसे बात कर रहा हूँ ध्यान से सुनना आप लोग 50-50 माले के टावर बना रहे हैं जिसके के टॉयलेट्स अंदर हैं अब आप बताओ अंदर टॉयलेट में फ्रेश एयर कहाँ से आएगी 60 माले के अंदर उसको सफोकेशन होगी कि नहीं होगी डू यू कॉल इट अ हेल्दी लिविंग सो व्हाट आर यू डूइंग आर यू सेलिंग अ गुड प्रोडक्ट और आर यू सेलिंग समथिंग जस्ट फॉर योर ब्रोकरेज फॉर गॉड्स सेक कंपेल द बिल्डर्स कि कम से अगर आपको चौक में भी देना है तो उसको फ्रेश एयर आने का रास्ता तो दो कहीं से जिससे कि बाथरूम्स को फ्रेश एयर होवे विच पीपल आर नाउ गोइंग ऑन कॉम्प्रोमाइजिंग एज रिगार्ड्स क्वालिटी इन प्लानिंग इज कंसर्न which I feel is unethical and it should not be accepted. आप लोग आगे से जो भी प्लान मार्केट कर रहे हैं आर्किटेक्ट्स हैं तो प्लीज़ प्लान बना रहे हैं थोड़ा बुद्धि वापरिए ना खाली क्लाइंट के यस मैन मत बनो ट्राई टू बी डू जस्टिस टू द प्रोडक्ट डोंट डू जस्टिस टू योर फी और टू द बिल्डर वो बोलता है छोटे फ्लैट बनाओ तो इसका मतलब चौक में बाथरूम दे दिया चौक में किचन दे दिया दिस इज़ नॉट अ सेंट्रली एयर कंडीशन एनवायरनमेंट यार वी आर लिविंग इन और अभी जितना डेवलपमेंट हो रहा है आपका और ट्रैफिक जैम होगा सब कुछ होगा अच्छा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बन रहा है विच इज़ गुड फॉर द कंट्री बट अल्टीमेटली अब मैं आपको ये बताऊं ये हमने प्रोजेक्ट कंसीव किया था कैपिटल एक बिल्डर की जवाब ये लेमन क्राइसिस के टाइम पे कंसीव हुआ था बड़ा शौक से बनाया चालू किया वर्ल्ड के बेस्ट आर्किटेक्ट ने प्रिया आर यू रिमेंबरिंग यू वर पार्ट ऑफ माई टीम दैट टाइम अभी बीच में लेमन के क्राइसिस आ गए A builder should know how to adapt the changes. You can't say I can't change. My architect had tears in his eyes. मैंने कहा listen, I have to maintain the bottom line of सरदार जी ये पूरा डायग्रेड स्ट्रक्चर था कॉलमलेस 80,000 फुट का बनाऊंगा ज़रूर पर कहाँ बनाऊंगा कब बनाऊंगा वो मालूम नहीं इसकी वर्किंग ड्राइंग्स रेडी है इकोनॉमी चेंज तो यही वही बिल्डिंग है उसी प्लॉट पे सेम फाउंडेशन के ऊपर वी मेड दिस बिल्डिंग and this is recognized as one of the world's best building with MEPs concerned. So I think we have to leave for next generations sustainable buildings. इसके अंदर हमने सब चीज़ों पे वर्किंग किया आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस पे वर्किंग बेस्ट MEP अवार्ड इन साउथ ईस्ट एशिया everything done at the time of planning. Afterwards you can add services, you can add for the convenience of the people, but basic structure को आप change नहीं कर सकते हैं.
Correct, right? I think fantastic. Right vision. I think the vision is first of all very important. The vision that you had, that you wanted to create such a building was important. Challenges तो आते हैं, मुश्किलें आती हैं, आए, चले गए. But first the vision and then the, as you said, the basic design has to be correct. Rest can be added to it.
क्या हो रहा है? CFO rules. You can't change the rule. But I'll tell you, one should go in details. आज जो steps होती हैं ना CFO के, they are most important. और आजकल बिल्डर लोग स्टेयरकेसेस देते हैं अंदर और जब एग्जॉस्ट फैन चलना चाहिए फायर जब लगती है सीएफओ आके सबसे पहले पावर बंद करता है एग्जॉस्ट बंद होता है वर्ल्ड ट्रेड सेंटर में मैक्सिमम डेथ हुई थी बिकॉज ऑफ सफोकेशन नॉट बिकॉज ऑफ फायर आई विल होल्ड बिल्डर रिस्पॉन्सिबल जो कंसीव अनप्रैक्टिकल बिल्डिंग करता है अगर सीएफओ रूल अलाउ भी करता है प्लीज डोंट मेक स्टेयरकेसेस विच आर इनसाइड द चोक्ड एरिया विच इज वर्किंग ऑन आर्टिफिशियल pumping of the exhaust. उस वक्त ऑक्सीजन चाहिए लोगों को. Fresh air has to go. Everything starts with the thought of the builder on day one.
Fantastic. I think that's something that we should learn from the Bhishma Pitama of Indian real estate. Let me come to Angad now.
Before that, I think
Yeah.
Vijay ji has sent a very powerful message and a very meaningful conveying to all of us that Earlier, real estate was a business. People would build square footage, people would make it on Excel sheet. Now, people are building homes. We have all realized it's a consumer-centric business. We are catering to a particular demand. We need to foresee their requirements. We need to foresee their usability as well as their living standards before we can envisage it, design it, and give it back to them.
Correct.
It
I
is-
think that's one positive development that we have also seen कि अब developers इसको एक customer centric industry मानने शुरू हो गए हैं.
Sapna, customer centric from sales point of view or from healthy living point of view. Same customer, आप अगर खाली sales को देखेंगे कि हमको sales में उसको customer को awareness करना है, you are looking at a very small parcel of it. First aim should be healthy living. The client who takes from me, he should live healthy. And then everything will fall in place automatically.
I think sales will fall in place.
Sale will fall in
in
place. These are
place.
fundamentals. of
Correct,
now.
correct. Angat, you also started something very unique, is a fund, SEBI registered fund for stressed projects. How did that come about? What was the concept behind it?
So I think 2018, when the market was not yet regulated and people were still launching projects and they were doing it for the sake of doing business, we had seen people of non-core businesses coming in and getting into real estate because the P&L looked good. So a lot of these corporates had come and started a real estate division, started companies to do it because the CEOs, CFOs would have told them this is a business of margins, multiples, valuations. So I was a construction contractor for one of these corporates, which was a large conglomerate. And midway, they decided they were not able to handle the business. And it was a 55-acre township near Bangalore. And we had about 1,500 apartments in the middle of delivery. And then they realized they can't manage the cash flow and this is not the business for them. And the promoter just decided to pull the plug. So apart from the customers which were stuck in it, apart from all the vendors, I as a contractor got heavily stuck in that project. Right. With a large outstanding, I did not know how to perceive it. The simpler way would have been everybody would have taken it to NCLT. We would have found a way to catch the parent to say, you know, layers of shareholdings don't save anything and anybody. We will ultimately be paid back for your default, not on account of what we have done and not should be punished for. I, in turn, took a pragmatic view to say that if he's not doing it, rather than fighting it courts, it's a natural death. Let us take it over, figure out a way that we can bring the consumer, that is the customer, the bankers behind us, and as a contractor, I converted the construction company into a development arm and took over the project from them. I gave that promoter an exit, but since we had understanding on the construction, we had access to capital and we were fully, in control of that possession of the site. We were able to convert a dead project into livable homes for 1,500 families. That was something which, kind of made us realize that today real estate is not only an asset, it is a home for somebody. And the pain which people are going through across the country of being stuck in various scenarios and situations for financial indiscipline, poor planning, just starting the project without going into title due diligence, not having approvals and built concrete, customers are bearing the brunt of it. And I think today everybody has got that angst in it. It is not that customers were not there, money was not there, real estate did not have it. I think it was a negativity which was created over a decade because of improper planning and over-aggressive financial plans and launch of projects without delivery of them.
Correct.
So that then we partnered with NICES to come up in a regulated manner of one of the India's largest funds to make it to take over stress projects, because it is a project is like what we say is like birth. If you have it, you have to, the delivery is the only way.
Right.
Midway is no way. And when it is a situation, you need partners to come together to think into finding a positive solution to the end, not a pull out in the midway plug and with all these forums of IBCs and CLTs don't serve purpose for anybody, I would say. So that was the genesis from my personal experience to partnering with like-minded people led to a thought process of doing a larger good for customers as well as bailout for financial institutions which are stuck, contractors whose lifelong payments are stuck, they get a takeout. So it's a positive result
It's a
for all.
win-win for everyone. Yeah. What do you have to say, Mr. Wadhwa? No, पहली बात तो stress project होते क्यों हैं?
जैसे आज का फेस चल रहा है, कोविड के बाद जो ये रैट रेस चालू हुआ है बिल्डर्स का, ले 4 FSI, गवर्नमेंट इज मेकिंग द मैक्सिमम मनी, प्रीमियम्स ले लेती है। सर जी आपका धंधा बहुत बढ़ने वाला है अभी, आप समझना। लग्जरी प्रोजेक्ट जो हैं मार्की लोकेशन पे, दे विल डू वेल इफ परफॉर्म्ड, बट वेयर एवरेज लोकेशन इज देयर, देयर सप्लाई इज गोइंग टू बी ह्यूमंगस। जब सप्लाई बढ़ेगी प्राइस हिट होगा, और जब प्राइस हिट होगा क्लाइंट रुक जाता है। जिस दिन क्लाइंट रुक जाता है उस दिन आपका पूरा चक्का जैम हो जाता है। बिल्डर क्या करेगा? बैंकर बोलता है तुमने माल नहीं बेचा, तुमने अपना परफॉर्मेंस नहीं किया, वी विल नॉट फंड यू बेटर। दिस इज द वर्स्ट टाइम फॉर अनमेथोडिकल ग्रीडी बिल्डर्स। और जिसको FSI की ग्रीड है, किसी के फैमिली को बर्बाद करना हो ना, उसको FSI दे दो, वो उसी FSI के चक्कर में 60 माला 70 माला 100 माला, अरे 100 माला बनाने के लिए आपको कम से कम नहीं तो कुछ भी करो। भले वो बोलता है मैं 6 साल में बना लूँगा, 9 से 10 साल से पहले पूरा नहीं होगा। और ये 10 साल के अंदर कितने साइकिल चेंज हो जाएंगे। कल को मंदी आती है, कुछ गवर्नमेंट की पॉलिसी होती है, दोज प्रोजेक्ट्स विल बी वर्स्ट इफेक्टेड। आदमी को ग्रीड में नहीं आना चाहिए। हमने भैया सिटी में एक प्रोजेक्ट दादर में, हमारे को 70 माला बना सकते थे, पर हमने 37 फ्लोर बना के क्लोज किया प्रोजेक्ट को। हमने कहा 2.5 साल में निकलो प्रोजेक्ट से, क्योंकि आपका जो IRR आप बोलते हो आपके लैंग्वेज में, इट विल बी ओनली फिटिंग इफ यू आर गेटिंग एग्जिट ऑफ द प्रोजेक्ट ऑन टाइम। Excel sheets is an expert job. People can show fantastic Excel sheets, but when it should be approvable. So my as a little advice to young generation, if they want to take it, don't go for the greed of हम रीडेवलपमेंट में ले रहे हैं, पर 33/7 जो 33/9 की बात करता है बोल तो चाहिए ही नहीं हमको, उसमें जाओ ही नहीं, क्योंकि उसमें कंजेशन होगा, भाव टूटेगा। आज आपको ग्रिड दिखता है बैलेंस शीट के अंदर, आई डोंट नो, आई थॉट इट्स माय ड्यूटी टू एडवाइज सम पीपल। 33/7 2.4 2.5 फंजिबल के साथ में 3.5 इज एक्सेप्टेबल। 5.5 FSI, प्रोजेक्ट कंजेस्टेड, कार पार्किंग, ऑटोमेशन, क्लाइंट का कंजेशन, आज नहीं आज प्लान पे बेच देगा आदमी, बट बाद में जब बिल्डिंग बनेगी ना, उन बिल्डिंग्स का भाव टूटेगा। दैट्स माय प्रैक्टिकल एडवाइस।
No, that is very true. In fact, we are seeing it so many buildings जहाँ पे जैसे बोल रहे automated parking है, वो जगह यूटिलाइज करना है, सब कुछ यूटिलाइज करना है, but then people are not happy living there.
उनने फ्लैट खरीद लिया,
हाँ,
ब्रोशर देख के,
हाँ,
टिकट साइज देख के, पर अभी जब देख रहे हैं दे आर फीलिंग अ पिंच,
हाँ।
ये आगे बढ़ेगी चीजें, तो वन हैज टू बी वेरी केयरफुल, और आपका लिए तो मोर केयरफुल।
नहीं, बिल्कुल राइटली सेड। आई थिंक वही होता है कि जब मार्केट तेज होती है, एवरीबडी वांट्स टू जंप इनटू इट राइट नाउ, दे थिंक इट विल ऑलवेज रिमेन लाइक दिस।
नथिंग, यू हैव टू बी फेल सेफ।
correct. But what is your outlook for the future? आज प्रेजेंट में काफ़ी कुछ हो रहा है जो सही भी है, गलत भी है. What is your reading for the future for real estate?
रियल एस्टेट इज अ नीड ऑफ द सेंचुरीज। इंसान के लिए घर होना इज अ प्रायर नेसेसिटी। घर का एज अ बिल्डर जिसको बचना है और आगे जाके ज़िंदगी में सांस लेनी है, हमने लास्ट 60 साल में कम से कम 10-12 तेज़ी मंदियाँ देखी हैं। प्रोडक्ट अच्छा बने, टाइम पे डिलीवर होवे, उसको बैलेंस शीट पे थोड़ा तेज़ी मंदी आ सकती है, बट उसकी रेपुटेशन को तेज़ी मंदी नहीं आएगी। बैलेंस शीट में ठीक है, नफ़ा नुकसान तकदीर का है, दैट इज इट इज कॉल्ड बिजनेस। तभी इनकम टैक्स एक साइड बोलता है प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस, वो सब टाइम का है, बट प्रोडक्ट हैज़ टू बी वेरी प्रैक्टिकल एंड इट डिलीवरी हैज़ टू बी देयर।
रेपुटेशन एज यू सेड, रेपुटेशन में ऊंचा नीचा नहीं होना चाहिए, बाकी नफा मंदी तो सब चलती रहती है. You being the young developer, young entrepreneur in this sector, how do you see the future?
So like Vijay Ji was saying, I think it's a basic commodity. It can never go out of fashion. There is going to be always demand. It's a
Right.
basic need. It's
Right.
as good as food, water, and other
Roti, kapda,
compliances.
makan. So
Absolutely.
makan is the third.
So if we
basically.
do it right and we keep those three things, ki intent theek hai, integrity hai, and we have delivery, this product 100% will have a buyer sooner or later, because the growth of our country in terms of population and the uprising of middle class is so high that maybe the luxury market may come down because the consumer segment is less.
Correct.
But for the middle segment and larger segment, be it tier 2, be it tier 3, be it within the cities, there is always going to be a demand for a house. And that product is something which is a need, which is only going to keep growing over a period of time.
Correct.
And more than that, जैसे बड़ी अच्छी चीज़ बताई, 4FSI is a killer on the infrastructure. You are putting point load in an already stressed market in congested towns where there is no proper sewage systems, there is no proper infrastructure. Instead of horizontally growing, there is no need to vertically grow it.
सुधाजी, no schools, no playgrounds, आप flyovers बना रहे हो, connectivity दे रहे हो, but what about basic infrastructure? बच्चे स्कूल के लिए कहाँ जाएंगे? Where are those things coming up? People are not thinking. Building तो बन गई, बच्चों को admission कहाँ मिलेगा vicinity के अंदर? That's the thing a person has to think.
And एक चीज़ और, overall generally people are not seeing कि पिछले 60-70 years में, not only India, globally, so much concrete has been poured. You know, our earth as a place has been there for centuries and decades, AD and BC. But past 100 years, mankind has done so much concreting, so much development, the nature and climate is yet to adapt and absorb that. We are making so many massive changes that we don't even know 2 to 3 decades what is going to be the impact. That is why people are talking of words like sustainability as jargons, but whether anybody has utilized to make sustainable buildings, fully sustainable buildings, not only like a brochure, but actually for the meaning of sustainability being fully recyclable, on renewables. Today, earlier, if agar aap jante hoge, we used to have these 100-watt lights, which used to heat up a room. From that, we went to CFL, then we went to LED. Technology is going to go off suddenly, decade later, we are not going to have gensets. We are not going to have power coming in from hydel and core. We would have all gone to renewables. Whether our buildings, their technology will be able to adapt to change over it because we can't bring concrete down. We just have to replace the MEP.
Sadaji, what we are doing, sorry to interrupt you, आप depend करते हो outside. मैं बोलता हूँ builder की duty है, sunlight maximum होनी चाहिए, आपको minimum dependence on air conditioning and light, air cross ventilation perfect होना चाहिए, जिससे आपका importance of air conditioning and fan कम से कम होवे. हमारी एक building was against the wind direction. Wind आ कहाँ से रही थी and architects staircase और lift code दे देते हैं उधर without realizing कि जहाँ से wind आनी है उसको बंद कर दिया. I said nothing doing, scrap it, change the plan. Plan ऐसा करो हवा का आना जाना. हम बिल्डरों के ऊपर और आर्किटेक्ट्स के ऊपर बहुत ड्यूटी है. अगर हम अपना काम एथिकली नहीं करेंगे, अब हमने जो बनाया है प्रोजेक्ट्स, सन पाथ को भी स्टडी करते हैं, विंड पाथ को भी स्टडी करते हैं, जिससे कि डिपेंडेंस ऑन आर्टिफिशियल थिंग रही. तो रात के टाइम पे तो लाइट आपको लगेगी, पर दिन में जहाँ आपको ज़रूरत नहीं है, इन प्लानिंग देयर शुड नॉट बी अ डार्क पॉकेट, जहाँ पे दिन में आपको बल्ब, स्टेयरकेस के अंदर भी दिन में बल्ब नहीं जलना चाहिए, फ्रेश एयर होनी चाहिए. ये डिपेंड्स on how builder and architects are planning.
Bilkul, and then that is why Vastu, which is basically an ancient science, is only way that pehle there was no power.
Perfect.
We would want to have a kitchen in a certain area because we would want the sunlight to come in a particular area. Southwest में master bedroom बनाते हैं ताकि वहाँ पर धूप ना आए. The reason is not because Vastu is something as a astrological something.
Vastu
it is
is
just the
nothing
science of planning areas to use nature
Perfect.
to be able to live. पहले अपने मिट्टी के घर होते थे, मिट्टी में इतना दम होता था कि वो खड़ा हो जाता था और उसका मकान बन जाता था. आज की डेट के अंदर तो we have gone into different tensile strengths of materials which we are.
अभी बहन, अभी पता नहीं, अभी टाइम हो गया 3 मिनट, 3.5 मिनट बचे हैं. हमने अभी प्रोजेक्ट्स में ट्री प्लांट करते हैं, लोग फ्लावर दिखाते हैं. मैं बोलता हूँ ट्रीज ऐसे दो, फ्रूट बेयरिंग ट्रीज लगाओ जहाँ पे बर्ड्स आवें, बर्ड्स की चर्पिंग. आज बम्बई में लोग इन चीज़ों से वंचित हैं. यू आर नॉट हियरिंग बर्ड्स, आप कौवे और कबूतर को सुनते हो. तो यू नो इट इज़ आवर बिल्डर्स रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी. वी शुड प्लांट सच थिंग्स, वी शुड डू सच थिंग्स वेयर पीपल गेट कनेक्टेड टू द नेचर.
That is very true. That is very true. Last questions before we close this session. Angad, how difficult or easy in today's time is for anyone to become a developer? And you as a leader, how are you evolving as a leader, personally?
So I think if you look at it for startups to come in and all, though we are now in a very organized manner, we know what NOCs are required, how banks would fund it. Anybody can do this business in terms of if you look at the rule book, it is quite clearer now than what was 2 decades back for the customer, for the developer, for the investor, for the bankers. Earlier, people were just understanding this industry, the wordings of carpet area and super built up area and SEAI clearance and airport clearance, all of those were jargons. Now they're all very clearly defined because past 2 decades, since 2003, India really has developed in terms of group housings, communities, all of it.
So there's much more clarity if you want to become a developer.
Absolutely.
In terms of
But having said that, I still believe this is still an industry of core professionals who really understand how to handle, like earlier what was said, it is a cyclic business. आज demand तेजी है, but फिर मंदी भी आएगी. जब आएगी, तो people just flee the scene and go. So to hold that in terms, to hold your reputation, very few people are able to maintain that. So to plan in terms of seeing unforeseeable scenarios and seeing unforeseen times and to be holding your head above high and not having a collapse, I think that is planning and preparing for that too is where the leadership takes us.
And that is what you are looking at, planning and preparing. That
Foreseeing at least that
Okay.
every conversation is also about seeing the contingencies, not only just seeing the upsides and the bright side.
Correct, correct. Wadhwa ji, your advice for the young leaders like Angad Bedi?
डोंट बी ग्रीडी ग्रीड में ही आदमी अटकता है जो आदमी एक्सेल शीट से और फंडामेंटली इफ आप बिल्डर हो अपने काम पे ध्यान दो प्लानिंग पे ध्यान दो आर्किटेक्ट का एलिवेशन इज़ अ बाय प्रोडक्ट कस्टमर पे ध्यान दो जो अंदर रहने वाला है पीपल मैनी ऑफ द बिल्डर्स बोलते हैं आर्किटेक्ट को बहुत अच्छी बिल्डिंग बनाओ क्या बनाओ नहीं बोलते हैं आर्किटेक्ट एलिवेशन दिखाता है आई से एलिवेशन इज़ अ बाय प्रोडक्ट फर्स्ट बिल्डिंग का प्लान अच्छा होगा तो एलिवेशन विल ऑटोमेटिकली कम आउट वेल इट शुड बी पर्पसफुल नो वेस्टेज आई थिंक प्लानिंग के ऊपर और बिल्डर के विजन के ऊपर बहुत डिपेंड करता है
Fantastic. I think learning for me personally from this conversation has been is what Mr. Wadhwa said. Developer के ऊपर बहुत कुछ depend करता है. He is the father of the product. He is the one who is giving birth to that product. उसकी vision क्या है? As Mr. Wadhwa said, नफा नुकसान सब होता रहता है, but आप क्या बना रहे हो, आपकी क्या विजन है और आपकी क्या रेपुटेशन है, उसको आपने मेंटेन करना है. कस्टमर को आप हेल्दी लिविंग दे रहे हो, वो आपको हमेशा नज़र में रखना है. एंड व्हाट आई अंडरस्टूड फ्रॉम अंगद बेदी इज दैट I think we have a bright future if we have developers like Angad Bedi who took things in his hand. जब उन्हें लगा कि कोई project problem में है, rather than going to courts and running around, he took charge. He took charge of that, and in fact, he realized that there is a problem and we should work something towards it. And I think if developers, हमारे young developers भी वही कर रहे हैं जो आप जैसे बोल रहे हैं कि let's make for the customer, then I think our future is bright for the real estate.
जो नहीं करेगा वो धुल जाएगा
धुल जाएगा. Okay, so that's a big learning for all of us. Let's do the right thing, और नहीं तो हम लोग धुल जाएंगे. So thank you so much, Mr. Wadhwa, for being here with us. Thank you, Angad, for being here with us today and sharing your perspective.
Wow, ladies and gentlemen, what an iconic discussion this has turned out to be. Thank you so much, Sapna, for curating it, and we'd like to humbly thank our leaders. Could we have the mementos being passed? Once again, a big, big thank you to both our leaders. First up, to none other than Mr. Wadhwa. Let's give him a warm, warm round of applause. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, let the applause continue. What an iconic moment this is. Thank you so much for gracing us on the 15th edition of the Realty Conclave West 2023. And thank you so much, Angad Singh Bedi. Once again, a warm round of applause. Thank you, Angad, for joining us today. And may we request Mr. Wadhwa, sir, if you could just come on the center and just the three of you could come together as a photograph. Ladies and gentlemen, let the applause continue. It should be roaring right now. What a legendary moment this is. Thank you once again. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we thank all the speakers of the day for making this edition of Realty Plus Conclave 2023 West so exciting. Firstly, can we have a big round of applause for each and every one of you who've made this successful? Come on, you've got to give yourself the biggest round of applause. And with that, we're going to be taking a short break as we're going to do a makeover, a 10 minutes break. Realty Plus Excellence Awards 2023 West is coming on the other side. But to allow us to do the makeover, we'd request you, along with your belongings, along with all your belongings, to kindly step out, re-register, get your hand tags done, and then join us back. So we'd request you to please take your belongings as our team is going to do an entire makeover of this place. Thank you all for being so kind. In the next 10 minutes, we're starting. This is me, Bhavna Bhatia, signing off for now. We'll see you at the awards.